If you're a Hello Neighbor fan, then I'm sure you guys are familiar with the show Welcome to Raven Brooks. The show, in my opinion, is phenomenal. There's just so much happening in most of the episodes, and the horror theme in this is just so well done, along with the pacing, the art style, animation, and voice acting. I also think that this show is one of, if not the best piece of Hello Neighbor media, something that would have been done in the actual games. It may not be as popular as most indie animated shows, but in my opinion, it feels like that's a good thing, because from what I might have heard of, videos with a buttload of views become overhyped, which is a lot of pressure because there are people like, impatient fans constantly begging for more episodes at an earlier time than to what the devs plan, or content farms. But anyways, today I decided to review episodes 1 and 2 of season 2, and also recap the 2. With all that out of the way, let's start recapping episode 1. The episode starts off at the Ravenbrook School when Mr. Peterson was a kid. Him and his brother Frank enter the Inventors Club where we meet 4 other students who are dressed up in costumes with some familiar faces. They then tell him that if he can pass their little test over at the infamous Mayak building from Hello Guest, he can join the club. However, when they get there, they start attacking him and his brother until they reach a huge pit. Frank gets hit with an object, falls to his death, and a large burst of probably a purple blast or ray shoots from the pit. And the trick-or-treaters dip, and then we see a silhouette of presumably Frank. The scene then fades forward to adult Mr. Peterson losing his mind in jail. We then cut to Trinity's house where she's talking on the phone with someone, saying that she wants him at Golden Apple Amusement Park. We then see Nikki, who's not as traumatized as before, staring at the Mayak building. Trinity then grabs the golden apple coin and, oh look, dyslexia! Delroy then shows up and him and Nikki fight until the guest or Crowface appears and they go after him. Nikki appears from the bushes, they spot Crowface again, and Crowface sends his crows to attack the kids until he vanishes. The scene then cuts to the kids in the Inventors Club where they're talking about what happened. A little while later, Trinity then goes into a coma after accidentally eating sugar cookies, which she's not supposed to have since she's a diabetic. Overall, this episode was amazing. Probably slightly better than the whole of the first season. I really love how they showed us more in depth about Mr. Peterson's past. Like, this guy really didn't have a good life and still doesn't. The scene with Crowface in the amusement park were not bad and the dialogue was perfect. But let's move on to the next episode. The episode starts off in a forest area where Trinity is in. Trinity then spots some hideous sculptures along with Ember, who terrifyingly stood up and pointed at a giant rolling golden apple coin chasing Trinity. Trinity then comes across some mirrors and sees Mr. Peterson in jail. He then grabs her through the mirror and Trinity appears outside of the Peterson residence, or I guess the green glowing house specifically. The rolling coin appears again and crashes into Trinity's house, killing her parents. Trinity then wakes up from her coma and sees that the principal is still alive, but disabled. She then tells Trinity's parents that Trinity was with Nikki during the incident and might have some suspicion that Nikki's the cause of her coma. Trinity then stares at her yellow backpack the principal is giving her and suddenly has a flashback of her and the principal in the bathroom along with a feather falling. Could she be Crowface? Trinity and her parents walk out of the school before Trinity bumps into Fitch, asking where Nikki is. When Trinity finds him, her mom stops her since she still doesn't trust him. And I thought they changed from episode 6. Then the gang, except for Nikki, head over to the amusement park where they're talking about the exact golden apple coins they have collected. While they're figuring stuff out, they head over to Nikki's place to see if he knows anything about the coins. Then he loses his mind, causes a disturbance around the neighborhood, and Trinity's house ends up being blown up and set on fire from an outlet explosion. Trinity's mom then grounds her for hanging out with her friends because she thinks that they burned the house. Like, shut up lady, stop being a bitch! And finally, Crowface shows up behind her house, making me believe he did this, and the episode ends with Mr. Peterson having flaming eyes. In my opinion, while this episode has more interesting and eventful stuff, I think it's slightly worse than the previous episode. I mean, Trinity's mom has no character development whatsoever, but I guess the best thing out of all this is the swearing.
That right there's some freaky ass.
So much for a so-called kids show, am I right? But overall, this episode was amazing. I can't wait to review future episodes. Tiny Build really is killing it so far with this series. But with all that out of the way, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.